Okay, my friends with bright minds. So now, let's do this. We are going to be juggling between Scratch programming and our flowchart. Now, before we code, we know that we need to look at the flowchart, of which it will be the one that will describe the processes and the sequences on how to create a program. So now let's jump to the flowchart. Of course, this is term 2 flowchart. So now, we'll start with the start item where we'll be starting our program, of which on our Scratch programming is when the green flag is clicked. Then when we move along, we'll find that we are having a diamond shape. This is where we get asked or asking a user to give us some input or data or information. Here we are being asked, or we are asking the user, is it raining? Eventually, when we ask a user, is it raining, we are expecting to get a yes or a no, of which that's a boolean. That means it's a true, it's raining, or false. Then we are going to be looking at how are we going to deal with the yes answer, is raining outside. We will ask the user, do you have an umbrella? Then on the no part of our flowchart, we will say, okay, you can go outside. The program will end. Then if it's raining outside, we will ask a user if the user does have an umbrella. If the user has a yes, then we know, okay, you can go outside. Then the program ends. But if the user says, no, I don't have an umbrella, then we'll get, sorry, you may stay inside. Then the program ends. Then we'll need to code this program. Now what I will do, my friends with bright minds, is that I'm going to jump to Scratch programming. Firstly, we need to get the start. The start, we know that when we start our program is the event when the green flag is clicked. Let me just zoom in a bit so when you are following along, you'll be able to see the script. Then we'll jump back. Then we'll get, is it raining? We see that the color of is it raining is blue, or powder blue. We come to our Scratch, we go to sensing. Because now we notice that the program is asking the user, then we know that we are asking this block. It asks your age, your location, your name. In this case, we need to ask, is it raining, with a question mark, right? Then when we run the script, just to test, I just want to make something clear. When we run the script, this sprite is asking, is it raining, on this bubble speech. Then we notice we are having a field here where we're supposed to say yes, is it raining, it is raining rather, or no, it's not raining, right? Then that information or that data needs to be stored somewhere so we can use it at the later stage. Then I'm going to stop this program then and refer back on the yes and no. So right here on the yes and no is, if it's raining, do this. If no, it's not raining, do that. So if it's raining, do this, else do that. That's the whole meaning of this part of our flowchart. So now we are having that block also on controls, which is if then else. If it's raining, then do this. We'll put a block here. Else do that. We'll put another block here. Is it clear? I hope so. So now let me put this block on pause. I want us to remember that we having the information that we need to provide to the program. Then we need to store that information so we can use it on the later stage. Then that means we need to create a variable where we can store that information. Then I'm going to make a variable and name it answer. Okay, then I will drag this variable here. Then we said we are going to answer the question that we get asked here when we punch in our answer in this field that will appear here when we run the script. That answer goes hand in hand with the sensing blocks. So now that answer that will provide, it will go inside this variable that we created. If the answer is yes, it will go to this variable, and if the answer is no, it will also go to this variable. Bear in mind, always remember that the ask block goes hand in hand with the set variable block. So each and every time where you need to store information from this block, the ask question, then just remember you need the variable block to store that data. It can be a text variable, it can be a number variable. So let's move on. Another advice that I will give my learners is that when we're dealing with these big nesting blocks, please just nest each and every block before you snap it into the main script, because at times I'll find them getting a challenge of nesting the blocks after snapping it in the main script. What will happen is that when they try to move this script, they will accidentally click the script or tap on the tablet. They will tap, then the script will run. Then we'll see that we are having this yellow border that tells us that the script is running. As you can see, we are having that field again. So now I'll stop the script, drag this one out as I always advise. We'll start with this short root, of which is a no root. Then if the answer equals to no, of which we said no here, and that no is being stored inside this variable, that simply means we are going to go to operators and we're going to drag this equal operator. Then what we'll do is that we'll go to the variable and grab the answer variable. Then right here we'll type no. If the answer is no, of which that no will be the one that will be from this answer, of which this one, the no, if you say no in this block, that answer will go to this block, and that block will store the data to this variable, of which that variable is this variable on another shape. So what tells us is that inside this block there's yes or no data. So now if we find that the no is equals to no, it means that condition is a no. I hope I'm making sense, because now we know that we are having a no answer inside this variable and a yes answer inside this variable. So now what I'll do is that I will just snap this one and nest it inside this if then. So now we said if the answer is no, you can go outside. So this is the process that is been given to the program. So if the answer is no, you can go outside. It's a sunny day. Then it means we'll tell the user, okay, you can go outside. We'll go to looks and go to the say block for 2 seconds. Then we'll say you can go outside. You can go outside for 2 seconds, right? Else, this is the else. Now we are done with this block. Else is this is the else that we are talking about now. No, it's not raining, it means you can go outside. That's done. Now the else is this part that we will be dealing with. So that simply means we are going to say, we are going to create another sensing block where we'll ask the user, do you have an umbrella because it's raining? Do you have an umbrella? With a question mark. Remember I said to you, when you are having this block, we need to have this one also. Then we go to the set variable to my answer. Then we go to sensing. Now you are having the very similar blocks, but not really, because now they ask, we're having different questions. But what we'll do is that we can duplicate this one. Then we'll have the very same block where we'll just change it is raining into do you have an umbrella. But because this is for learning purposes, we can't be duplicating. I want us to go through it step by step. Okay, then we'll come and nest this one here. Okay, now if you notice, I haven't snapped this one here because once I snap it and I make a mistake, I will tap on the green flag clicked, then the script will run. Then it will be difficult at some point to have an idea of what is happening. Now what we'll need another if else block, because now when we look here, we are having the another if else block. Do you have an umbrella? If you have an umbrella, then do this, else do that, because you don't have an umbrella. So that simply means we'll have another if else block. We'll go to the control, then drag this one also. Now if you notice, I have now 3 segments of my script. It's the main script, the if else, then another if else. Now I don't want to nest them. In this case, let me zoom out, because this block doesn't have when green flag is clicked. I'll just drag it and nest it just underneath this variable set answer to answer. Okay, what I'll do now is that I'm going to get this block here, or I'm going to create this block, that one that will say yes in this case, because we said yes, it's raining outside, or yes, I do have an umbrella. So now I'll go to operators, drag it, then I'll go to variables and drag my answer again. Right now I'll say yes, I do have an umbrella. Okay, because now if we remember, do you have an umbrella, the answer is yes, then it is being stored inside this variable, of which is the same as this one. Then when the program finds that we said yes and it finds yes, it means the condition is true. Then if the condition is true, you have an umbrella, then you can go outside. Then we go and drag the say hello for 2 seconds, and we change, oops, where am I putting that? There we go. Then we say you can go outside, because you have an umbrella. You can go outside for 2 seconds. But if you don't have an umbrella, we say sorry. Let's go back and see. We say sorry, you may stay inside. We come here and drag this one again and say sorry, you can, or you may stay inside. Let's just say sorry, you must stay inside. Right? Sorry, you must stay inside. Perfect. Then let's see what else. Oh, then when we say sorry, you must stay inside, here I said may, but pretty much the same. Then we say sorry, you must stay inside. So let me just try to walk through this if else blocks again. The if then else block, here we are having the no. Is it raining outside? No, it's not raining. Then the answer is found inside this variable. Then if that condition is true, that is not raining, you can go outside. If that condition is false, it's a yes, it's raining outside, then we get do you have an umbrella, because it's raining outside. We'll say yes or no inside this answer, of which it will be in this field. Then that answer will be stored inside this answer variable. If you say yes, I do have an umbrella, and if the program finds that this condition is true, yes, then you can go outside. If the condition is false, then if it's false, say sorry, you may stay inside, or you must stay inside. Then now, because I'm done with my script, then I can snap it here. Done and dusted. So now everything is here. Now the only thing that I will remind you again is that please, when you nest all these blocks, please nest them separately. Even if you can start with these ones, please leave the green flag alone until you are done with the script. Then you can drag when the green flag clicked. Let's run the script and see. Let me maximize the stage, then run the script. Is it raining outside? I'll type in yes. Do you have an umbrella? I'll type in yes. Then it will say you can go outside. Now let's go and run the script again and say, is it raining outside? No. You can go outside. It's not raining outside. Let's go back again and run it one more time. Is it raining outside? Yes. Do you have an umbrella? I'll say nope. Then sorry, you must stay inside. Then the script is done. Please feel free to share, like, and comment. If you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. So my friends, let's quickly recap. I said when we start the program, we execute the code. So now we'll get, is it raining? If it is raining, then eventually we'll go to, do you have an umbrella? If we do have an umbrella, then you can go outside. Else you don't have an umbrella, no, sorry, you may stay inside. On the other side, if it's not raining on the no part of our diagram, it means you can go outside. So all these processes, they will end the program. So now let's go and jump to our VS Code. So this is where we will be writing our line-based coding or line-based code. So now what I'll do is that I will come up, I'll make the file a new file and say main.py. So now the py is the extension for Python, right? Then I'll hit enter. Then on this side, I'll create answer as our variable where I will need input from the user, of which this is a function. So everything that we get from the input will be stored inside our variable. So now I'll just say, is it raining? Give it a full a question mark. Then if it is raining, yes, it is raining, then the yes will be stored inside the variable answer. But if it's not raining also, that no will go straight to the answer. Now let's say if answer is equals to no, let me just say no with the small letters. Oops. With the colons, I'll say print you can go outside. Okay, so if the answer is no, it's not raining, then you can go outside. The print statement, this is where we get the bubble from the. So now what I will do after this, we are going to else. Let's say now it is raining. I'll say else. Then we want answer from the user, of which that's the variable that we created. We'll create another one. Then we'll say the function input. Then we're going to ask again the question, do you have an umbrella? Then with the question mark and a colon, we space that. So now if this is not true, then this will happen. If this condition is not true, it's raining, this condition will happen. Okay, then we'll be asked, do you have an umbrella? Then I'll say okay, if answer is equals to yes, I do have an umbrella, then print you can go outside, right? Then if else, now we are going to the else part. If this is not true, else, which this is else, now we say print, because now we don't have an umbrella, we say sorry. Now let's say we said sorry, you may stay inside. full stop. Okay, then let's run and check if the program is running smoothly. Okay, is it raining outside? Yes. Then do you have an umbrella? I'll say yes. Then we can go outside. Let's run the yes part of our flow chart. Is it raining outside? Yes. Do you have an umbrella? No. Then sorry, you may stay inside. You can see the sorry, you may stay inside is this sorry, you may stay inside. Then the other one, where is it? Do you have an umbrella? Yes, I have an umbrella, of which this is a yes umbrella. Then okay, you can go outside. You see, this is the very same lines that we have on our Python. Now let's say maybe it's not raining. Let's run the code again. Is it raining? No. Then eventually these two lines are the ones that we get from the terminal. With that being said, let me explain this one. This one, when the Python recognizes this hash symbol, it means it won't be able to read the rest of these strings. It knows that this is for human to read. Then Yona will read only this language. This one is for human, so that's why it won't be able to execute those lines. That being said, my friends, this is the end of this lesson. The lesson has stopped, but learning still continues. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.